Welcome back to Evolving Weights, where we ride the tides of diversity to reach the shores of success. Today's guest is Frank Ancrum III, back with us for part 2 of his 4-part series I guess we'll just title it Making the World a Better Place, because that's what you do for all the pieces of wisdom you have in so many different sectors of life. I think they all do share that one commonality, that the world does need to be made a better place. And today we're going to talk about how he does that in a business sense. This man is currently the head of the Office of Business Opportunities. You may also know him if you're in the city of North Charleston from the Small Business Enterprise Department. But as y'all are about to find out, this man is a lot more than any of those titles. Pioneer, entrepreneur, thought leader, and as we talked about in the last episode, a man who overcame a lot of adversity to achieve what needs to be achieved. So before we get into that, though, we got to take a second to shout out today's sponsor.
Before we get into his story, we want to quickly shout out our sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stingray Branding, a national lead generation-focused marketing agency that helps businesses generate an ROI from their marketing efforts, including web design, social media, Google search, email, automations, and more. Learn more about them at stingraybranding.com.
With all that said, Frank, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Neil.
Always a pleasure, sir. The last episode, as I touched on a minute ago, we talked about not just your upbringing, but also just your overall thoughts on this planet and how we got to where we are today. And I think today's session is going to be best suited to build off of that and talk more about your place in the business world. So I could probably just give a 2 or 3 sentence description about your job, but you can probably do it a lot more justice than that. So what does the current title that you hold mean? Essentially, what is your job for the city of North Charleston?
For the city of North Charleston, the new administration came about a year and 9 months ago. When Mayor Burgess came in with the new administration, he's been animate, very intentional about creating the first small business enterprise department for the city of North Charleston. As you know, North Charleston is a beautiful city. It's the 3rd largest economic generating city in South Carolina. So it would only make sense that we have a small business department that helps to provide resources, financial resources, education, training, opportunities for our entrepreneurs and small business owners throughout the Tri-County area, actually. So it's not just for the citizens of North Charleston, but we reach as far as Berkeley County, Dorchester County as well. It's a department that a lot of times when you find departments like small business enterprise departments or similar departments, you have those in charge that have a lot of theoretical knowledge. The difference is we are not that. We have a customized approach. We're not a cookie cutter. We really customize the needs and the information to the entrepreneurs or small business owners where they are. We meet you where you are, where you are. The information that's shared with a small business owner who's just starting a business is much different from someone who's been 7-10 years in business or better. 10 years or better, we may be talking about wealth protection, succession plans, whereas I'm not having that conversation with someone who just started their business. It's more so formatting and structuring business, proper formatting and structure. So the department itself is not, I say again, we are very intentional with making sure that the last thing the members of North Charleston have to worry about is not having a resource that they can rely on, not having someone they can call to understand, any questions they may have, any areas where they need to make their business fundable or put themselves in position so that they can get a loan. put themselves in a position where they can scale, put them in a position where they can get extra education. There's so many different things that we're trying to make sure that they feel comfortable coming to us. We're trying to make North Charleston and the city of North Charleston and even City Hall cool again.
Make City Hall cool again. That would work as a political slogan.
As if it was ever.
Yep.
But we, for some of us, we have a bad representation of what we do for the city.
Why?
I think it's because of the lack of knowledge. City Hall is not, whether you're going on the second floor, which is the police, law enforcement, or the third floor, a lot of times, whether it's business license and things of that nature. I think the people, they just don't know. We hadn't advertised or marketed what we do for the city. And there's so many dynamic and interesting people that work for the city of North Charleston. Every department has a different feel for it, whether it be the planning and zoning, whether it be business license, community outreach. There's so many procurement department. There's so many departments that project management. There's so many departments that really help to make this city run, and you just don't know what they do or who they are. But they're people just like you. They're people that care about the city, care about their communities, have families just like you. It's not something where anyone feels as though they're better. I think they're good at what they do when we're trying to really be about the people's business.
So you touched on a couple different things I want to follow up on, as you have a way of doing, because you're that full of knowledge and wisdom. But I want to go back to what you said about how the city and you in particular can be a resource. What is a resource to you?
A resource to me is financial literacy. A resource is business structure. A resource could be just having someone that you can ask a question, because there are no dumb questions. A resource is someone who you can run a business plan by to get their opinion, because you know what they're dealing with. A resource could be someone who may want to put you in touch with a pair. A lot of times as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we feel alone. It's a lonely journey. And the reason why I laid out what my private side of the business was, or me being a serial entrepreneur, having small businesses for so long, is because although I work in a 9-to-5 capacity, I am so not 9-to-5.
I was going to say, you're not a 9-to-5 guy.
Right.
At all.
That's right.
You're more like a 5 to 9 type of guy.
Right. So it makes me more approachable because I can speak their language. I'm not talking to them about someone, I say again, that has theoretical knowledge of books. Yes, I am educated. Yes, I have degrees, but I have lived experiences and I know how they hurt. I know the difficulties and the times where I didn't have the resources. I had to figure it out. I had to find people or search for mentors. I had simple questions that I didn't know where to get those answers from. Those are the resources we're providing. We're providing some of the simplest things that for some, but for those who want to build a business, working toward, really have the hunger, we want to make it simpler for them to really be successful. And that's the least we can do, is have a one-stop shop of resources that they can just ask, come in, let's sit down, let's see who you are, what you want to do, what you have, and where you want to go.
Now, Frank, you're clearly intelligent. You clearly know your business. I think there's a lot of power that comes from just sitting down and thinking, yeah, I like just talking to you. I like just having conversation with you. I could easily talk with you about anything from sports to the latest TikTok trend. There's a way you have about you that when I'm sitting down and talking with you, I just get like this, man, life is good right now. I'm enjoying my journey through life. Because I'm talking to this guy. There's maybe a correlation between those two things. Again, clearly you know what you're talking about and you can actually help people. The substance is behind it. Mm-hmm. However, I think it's also very important that you are approachable, you are easy to speak with as a human being, as we talked about in the last show too. There's an element of that to it. My question is, how important do you think it is for everyone who, whether they work in exactly your field, or any related field within any city hall, anywhere in any city, how important is it for them to be able to relate to their constituents? Because I think I know the answer, but I think the answer is if it's not a very high level, they're not going to get a lot accomplished.
I think it's extremely important. The slogans and the euphemisms that we use, we are about the people's business. We are there not for ourselves. Most people that come into city government or just government, we don't come for the money. This is not where you get rich. This is because you have a passion to do something for someone else. And I believe that this is something that, whether it's, as I said, I'm the last one, I'm pretty new to politics. I'm pretty new to city government. I've been an entrepreneur so long, I can't even remember. I hadn't worked for someone since 2008. So for me, I was already successful just because I get to pick up my children, take them to school, pick them up from school every day. Success means different for me. Success has nothing to do with a dollar amount. It's the other things of life that I built myself up able to, to be and do. It's the lifestyle that I really am proud of. So for city government, for those who work in the industry, it's extremely important for your constituents and the people that you serve to be able for you to be approachable. They need to feel as though they're not a pest. They're not asking a dumb question. It's no such thing. If they need to know and they're willing to pick up the phone or even come to ask you a question in person, have a meeting, answer emails, that's a part of that's why we're here. There's no other reason we're here but to be about the people's business. Because when the people don't need us anymore, we will exit stage left. You need to be removed from that area, removed from that position if your mentality is not to serve the people. There's so many other things you can be doing, but you have to be inviting. You have to want to serve.
That's, I think, a big key. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about this in part 3 of your 4-part series, but as with most people of Gen Z, technically I'm a millennial, but I missed that border by a year or so. Right. So I'm close enough to Gen Z where I can say I share this characteristic. I think in terms of memes. I think in terms of funny, virulently shareable things that happen on the internet. So what comes to mind for me, because I watch a lot of the show, Family Guy, it's a bit of satire in there, but there's an episode where Peter, who's, if you don't watch Family Guy, very basically, there's a man who wants to get some kind of permit from the city, and he goes and says to his wife, the hell, I can't do this. I'm going to go down to City Hall and fight this. And then the scene just doesn't show anything else. It just does like a transition where it just flips around the screen and then back to the same scene in the household. And Peter, the father, has a black eye and bloody nose and everything. And he goes, City Hall knows karate. So obviously that's satire. That's a joke. It's an exaggeration. But the point is that comes from somewhere. Right. There is a perception that allows for that joke to be made and for it to be funny and for it to be memorable enough that I bring it up in this context here. So that's kind of the perception that you're fighting here, that City Hall, I don't want to say is evil, but they're not helpful. They're combative. They're militant in some way. You are very much not that. You're not any of that. You're the antithesis of all that. So the approachability is obviously very, very key, but perception is also reality. So how do you go about fixing the perception, because if people don't have a good perception of you, they're not going to want to sit down and talk to you to begin with, because you can have the conversation with them and then they can be comfortable, but you have to get to that point first. There has to be that point of entry in the relationship with another person for you to be able to sit down and talk with them. So how do you and how do city halls in general get past this perception that they know karate and they're going to be fighting everyone?
Oh, great question. I think it's very important that we really reset. We understand, like I said, City Hall needs to be cool. City Hall does not need to have that same, and we are fighting the perception that's been here for so long. But I think it starts with leadership. The leadership in administration has been very intentional and deliberate in making sure that everyone understands why we're here. It's not them against us. It's we're here for them. So in any, whether it be an entrepreneur, whether it be a CEO or anyone in authority, you have to find the right leadership first. And we have that. Then the leader then puts out his expectations or his or her expectations in what the mission is. He's done that. And then from there, you usually put the people in place that can carry out the mission. And then from there, you empower the people to carry out the mission for the people. So it's used quite a bit in North Charleston City Hall. As Mayor Burgess talks about why we're here. He reminds us it all the time. We're not talking top down. We do not come up with the laws and ordinances and rules in a silo. We need to bring the community in, have these talks with them, so we're not just creating things that are affecting our community, affecting those in the community as if they don't have any say. So, as I said, I think it starts with leadership and really keeping a focus on what's important and reminding us why we're here. Just like a small business owner, I usually advise them, one of the things we do once we do structure, once we do formatting of business accounts and NAC codes and DUNS numbers and so many all the things that make you so-called come across as a legitimate business, one of the main things I tell them is, I need you to find your why. That why is very important. You need to be able to articulate your why you're doing this business, why you're here. And I think the administration did the same thing for us when they came in. Why are you here? And it's not, you don't have to have the pretty answers or I'm here but your why needs to be defined.
So in order to eradicate this idea of City Hall using karate on people, all you need is a well-defined why. You can help them flesh it out and turn it into a business plan, but the why has to be something legitimate that's near and dear to them.
Absolutely, because when your why is so important. For example, I look back at when I went overseas government contracting in 2004 for a company. I was in Iraq, Africa, and Dubai. Working operations for a company called Halliburton, which at the time was the Vice President, Dick Cheney. It was his company, a defense contractor. A lot of times being in the desert, being in a war zone, it's hot. I mean, hot on a whole nother level. It's 110 degrees at night. And some of the things that you experience working with the military, living in the same areas in the military, sleeping on a cot about the length of your arm, in a 12-man cot like MASH, seeing camel spiders that's a baby that's the size of your hand. Some of the things that you experience at any given time, they used to teach us, you carry your check stub on you at all times. Whether it be, I don't care if you laminate it, you put it in your wallet, you put it in a lanyard, you do whatever, but you carry that because it's your why. And when you have those negative thoughts, those times, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm sick of this, I want my family, it's too hot, it's too dry, you need to be able to pull out that why. and remind yourself, reset, this is why I'm here.
So I'm guessing that the types of adversity, of course, because we do a show about overcoming adversity, so why not toss that theme back in here? But I'm guessing that the themes of adversity that people are facing are not exactly overcoming 110-degree weather in the middle of a desert, but I'm sure that at some point there does come about an obstacle for them that is about as pleasant as 110-degree weather in the desert. So what is your role in helping them get through those obstacles, assuming that, of course, they have a dream that you think is legitimate that can be turned into a real business opportunity? How do you go about getting them to overcome those obstacles, making sure that they do not give up on their dreams?
A lot of times I need them to first understand, I have to understand why. They need to get to the fundamentals of why they're doing this. Many people start businesses for, I'll never say the wrong reason, but they have a misconception of what it is to be a business owner. A lot of times some people, they just don't want to listen to someone. They may just not want to be, they want to have something for themselves. Well, most times I'm not the person that they come to when I do public speaking. I'm not the person that you come to if you want to feel bubbly. I'm not the person that needs to come talk to your group or your audience when you need to just feel good about yourself. Because I'm going to give you the raw, the uncut, the in your face about business. And it's not for the faint of heart. So not only though if they were to come to me and they have questions about how do they get through tough times, I'm not going to coddle them. I will show them and let them and explain to them that this too shall pass, that we can help and we are a resource to show you that this is a bump in the road. This is not a mountain. This is, we redefine what you believe is a stopping point. This is not a stopping point. This is just a little bump. This is something that, because I can see past that, I have to get them to see the long picture. I have to get them to understand that you will continue to have difficulty. There's different things that you will experience, but it's not about the end result. It's about the process. It's always about the process. The process is what strengthens you, builds up your character, so that when these bumps and boulders, and some would say mountains come up, the process makes you push through because you're built for it. You need it. When you walk in my office, in that building in City Hall, our office is one of the only places that it's a vibe. You need to come in that office and you will see mantras. You will see positive words of affirmation. You will hear things from Motiversity. You will see things that you don't have in your everyday life. Because I need you to understand that when you walk in here, it's us. You need to understand that there is no can't. We don't use can't. We need you to understand that when you walk in here, you want to get all the confidence. I want to put a jumper cable on your back and let you know that you can do this. There's nothing stopping you. And we're going to get past that mentality. Because when you walk back out of this office, you got to look life in the face. Entrepreneurs are never taught to take defeat. No one teaches you how to get your face kicked in 50 times and still go back out for the 51, for the 51st. That's not taught. No one teaches you that you have to keep fighting and accept it and take it. But it's the process. If you're okay with going through the process, enduring a little being uncomfortable, a little rejection, all of these things help you a little later. And it's, when you look back at it, it's a feeling that you can't even explain because it's a feeling of success. We help them come in and they need to change their thought process. And when you leave out of this office, you will feel like you can kick a door down. That's our job. Our job is to provide you the resources, whether it be steel-toe boots, reinforced heels, so you can kick that door down when you leave. So if you got to come back the next week, I'll put another pair of boots on you. We'll put you some
sharpened heels, right?
Whatever it
takes. A fresh pair of metal boots.
Whatever it takes, but you need to have the confidence that when you go back out there to society, to the real world, that you have something you believe, you have someone that believes in you. And it starts with you believing in you. There is no.
Frank, I mean, among the many things you touched on, the process. What is your experience with going through the process personally and getting to, because I know you have a background in the business world. Mm-hmm. It's not a conventional background. It's not the way you draw it up, but you do nonetheless have experience there. So I guess the question is, what do you know about the process and how do you use that knowledge that you have in giving people the resources that they need? Do you rely on your personal experience? Do you make it personal to them and listen that much more intently to what they say to give them tailored advice, or something in between?
I think it's a mixture of both. Me understanding who and what they are and where they want to go, that helps kind of give the advice that they, that they want or that they need. Me understanding that we are the same, or helping them to understand there's no difference between you and I. I was in your shoes. I've experienced some of the same things you've experienced. There's nothing you can literally tell me that I either haven't seen, been around somebody who has experienced it, or overcome it. It's just variations of it. I too, some of the disconnects from some of the older generation and the millennials or the newer generation thinks a little different because they are very confident and courageous in what they want to accomplish. And I'm all for it. Because when I entered the industry on my private side, when I entered the industry in the areas I was not represented, I had no one that was doing some of the same things that I wanted to do. And that's always been, I've always asked myself low key, like, why you can't just be regular? Like, why can't you just do what it's to be much easier in life if you just do regular stuff? But it's never been me. So I never wanted to be different. It's just I am, and you just embrace it. So I tell a lot of the youth what they want to do and how they get through these. How they get through the tough times is I am them. The past experiences and the things that I've experienced through lived experiences, it's more or less, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have the pedigree. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a backup. It was me seeing something in my mind, me holding on to it, me putting the resources needed, applied to it, and believing in I can't be stopped. You cannot beat me. I'm a firm believer that confidence is everything. Skill, confidence, and having what we call a dog in you. You got to have some dog in you. To be an entrepreneur, a successful, a small business owner, you got to have a little bit of puppy in you. And we can build that dog. But it's because I've seen how you can take someone who has a little bit of dog, and that dog can be trained, and that dog can go off the beaten path, but it will fight, and it does not take no for an answer. Confidence is everything. Even as parents, we teach our children to have confidence. And I ask a lot of adults, when did you stop needing it? When did you stop needing confidence? When did you stop telling yourself, you look good today? When did you stop telling yourself, they might not want me today, but they're going to need me next week? When did you stop really talking life into yourself? Because everyone doesn't come from an environment where they have someone that can breathe life into them. You got to breathe it in yourself. You got to be your own fire starter. You need to have the confidence, and that's why we try to instill that confidence in them when they come into the OBO's office. When they come into the Office of Business Opportunities, I need you to understand that whatever you think you're going to do, we're not just going to do it for you. We need you to put your belt on, put your seatbelt on, bring your entire self, and let's go.
So, I mean, I just, for the sake of those listening or watching, I had 24 questions for this particular episode. He answered about 19 of them in the last couple of answers, because he, like I said, he just naturally is this fountain of wisdom that whenever someone talks to you, they become more knowledgeable on whatever subject they're trying to glean knowledge from as a result of talking to you. So I think the last question I want to ask in this part of our conversation about the business development part is, can you give me a specific win or victory that you and or your colleagues in the City Hall offices helped somebody achieve based on the resources that you provided them? And are you willing to tell that story? You got several, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. We're very proud of what we've created. We're very proud of who we serve, and it's a diverse mixture of small businesses, woman-owned businesses, different nationalities, and it's satisfying. It's so satisfying you can't really put a word to what it does for you. For example, the Hispanic community is hungry. You can see it. You can see a lot of different. You see the Indian community. I'm talking about the Asian or Oriental community. Like you have people who really want to succeed. They really want. They just need a few resources. It's who they see in the middle. I mean, it's who they see in the mirror, and then they have an idea of who they want to be. All we want to do is fill in the gaps. So when we started putting out just the resources available, whether it be financial literacy, whether it be structuring the business or credit hacks to get the credit right, understanding that there's a difference between your business credit and your personal credit, and whether it be preparing yourself to get a loan. All of these things, we had one Hispanic company, and at the time, I had two phones. So I would translate through both phones. And that didn't stop us, because we wanted to make sure that regardless, I don't care if your English is not good. That has nothing to do with it. You do great work. We need you to position yourself and put you in a position that you can continue to do for your families. So what we did is I started with both phones. Then we hired this young lady who is bilingual, and she's Hispanic. But prior to her coming, I was helping about 3 different businesses, Hispanic businesses. And from that, the following week, I had about 13 businesses standing outside our office in line. So I come in that morning, I'm like, what is going on? Like, you can't just wait and there's no appointments or nothing, because the word got out that I am one of them. The word got back to the community that he is real. He is serious. So I pride ourselves in, they call me El Jefe. But I really took pride in the fact that everything that they had said about me, it resonated with the community, in their community, because now they're like, listen, he doesn't care if you can't speak very good English. He doesn't care. He has 2 phones, and he will do whatever he needs to do to help you build your business or provide different opportunities for you. So I say again, this is something that I get excited for every day. The mayor, the administration has been very deliberate and excited to help the community continuously. They'll send any and everyone. He feels as though there's enough for everybody. And as I said, you have to start with good leadership and putting the right people in the right positions. He's established what the mission is, and we got our assignment.
That is how you solve the perception of City Hall being combative. That's how you do it.
No black eyes, no bloody noses.
I love it. I love it. So last question on this topic, Frank. I'm sure you've already kind of touched on it in one of your previous answers, but what is the most rewarding part of all that you do to help small businesses in North Charleston?
Wow. The most rewarding part about working in City Hall and the Office of Business Opportunities would be the look on people's face when the questions that, or the boulders that they, or mountains that they would consider them to have, once we answer those questions, or we make them, we bring down their anxiety, the satisfaction that they get from when they leave is something you can't quantify. You have to satisfy people, to help them know that they can go and fight for their families. They have families, they have children who look up to them. They have wives, they have husbands. They have, some of them are taking care of their parents and the elders. But just to know that we can provide resources that makes it easier for them to go do what they do well is something that it touches you in a way that you can't really explain. It's something, for example, there's a lady, an older lady, she was about 71. She maybe, I guess my first 3 months there, she came from Ridgeville. And she drove and she said she saw the advertisement about the small business department for the city of North Charleston on the radio. I mean, on
Billboard, I guess.
On the news.
Okay.
She saw it on the news, so she made her way in town. She came to the city, and she just needed to know. She had her business for about 7 years, and she said she's been doing well, but she didn't know how to set up a LLC. And she was so ashamed that she didn't know. I asked her, so why didn't you ask anyone? She was like, I just thought it was a stupid question. So I helped her in like 10 minutes. This lady, after I helped her, she was like, is that it? Yes, ma'am. So I showed her the paperwork and everything. She said, son, I've been worrying about this for years, and you did this in 10 minutes? She says, I gotta at least bring you a butt cake. Can I bring you a butt cake? Ma'am, I'm sorry. We can't receive it, but I can't accept it, but I would love to. But there's no compensation needed. This is what we do. This is why we're here. To have the stories about the different communities, the Hispanic communities, to have them give me nicknames, to have them come in and bring their family members or people who normally would not walk in City Hall. Like, you got to think about what we're going through now in these times. They don't want to come in there. But they're willing to do it because they know that they're not being judged. They're going to get what they need. So I say again, to answer your question more directly, it's the satisfaction you get from helping people. You have to have it in you. It's infectious.
First episode with Frank Ancrum, we talked more about just the humanity and in loving each other and at the very least respecting each other. Today, a bit of a different theme to it, but there's definitely a lot of love and respect that goes into what you do, because I don't think you do it without it, because it's a thankless job. And we'll really talk about that in the next part of our 4-part series with Frank Ancrum. But for now, as we wrap up today's episode, please be sure to remember that in the face of adversity, there's always the potential for growth, resilience, and success. So we'll be back in 2 weeks from today as we continue to explore more inspiration from Frank Ancrum, and this one will be on the topic of him mentoring the next generation, getting them ready for their lives as adults to come. Frank, thank you so much for joining us again today, and we look forward to seeing you back in a couple weeks.
Thank you for having me. I'm family now.
You are.